Good morning, everyone. I'm Oisin O Mir. I'm the Director of Sales for DACH in Central Eastern Europe. So as Shane mentioned already, and as we're all aware, mobile is the single most disruptive influence of our generation. Our mobility, the connectivity and ubiquity that it brings has fundamentally changed the way in which we communicate with each other. We're no longer seeing mobile as just a technology. We're not even looking at mobile anymore as the platform. But mobile is the behavior. And mobile is changing behavior. And so once you understand the impact that mobile has on your behavior, you can start to understand what mobile means to us in our everyday lives. And mobile is the behavior, and then intent is changing. So there are 5.2 billion mobile devices in the world. And with that number of devices, it's hardly a surprise that what we're seeing is mobile searches are now exceeding desktop searches in 10 markets around the world. And by the end of the next year, we're going to see this in all of our major markets. Right now, more 18 to 49-year-olds are watching mobile on YouTube than they are on desktop. And we're seeing growth rates of 90% here. So mobile is big. But as the title of this presentation would suggest, we're not here to talk about the big things. We're here to talk about the little things. Small is beautiful, after all. So let's have a look at some of the everyday uses we see for mobile if we're going to roll the video now. I'm sure we've all experienced at least one of those moments. And if you think about it, the average smartphone user looks at their phone 150 times a day. Actually, there's a gentleman at the back who seems to have checked his phone 150 times since I've started speaking. But you think about how this has changed our behavior. So we're much more spontaneous. We don't plan ahead the same way that we did in the past. We're searching for information all the time. We're always on. We're always demanding. We're looking for something immediate. So 150 times a day. That's 150 moments, which is 100 billion moments worldwide where you have the opportunity to understand what your consumers are looking for. Now, 100 billion moments, that's quite complex. And how do you interact with your customers and potential users throughout 100 billion moments? So very, very complex, even for Google. And we've done a lot of work trying to figure out these moments, trying to understand what's the best, how do you get the most out of all of these moments. And through the course of that study, what we've done is we've come up with a number of truths. And the first truth is that some moments matter more than others. And if you think of some of those moments, most of us, the first thing we do in the morning is we look at our mobile, maybe switching off an alarm. The last thing we do at night, we're plugging it in. Although I do like that Durex video that we showed earlier. We should use that off button a little bit more. But if you think of those other moments, like you're getting a text maybe this morning. Don't forget to buy that bottle of Irish whiskey in the airport as you're leaving. You're seeing photos from your sister-in-law's kids. You're, a lot of different things that are coming through. So these are important moments for us, but these are not really important moments for brands to be there. And so these are the moments that we feel are the important ones, the moments for consumers and for brands. And so we call those moments micro moments. And these are moments where you're acting on a need. You want to learn something, do something, discover something. We can also call these the I want to know moments, I want to go, I want to do, I want to buy moments. And these are now changing the rules and also changing our behaviors. So let's look at some of those moments. So most of us online consumers, we're looking at more information than we were a few years ago. I think all of us would probably feel that's true. 2/3 of smartphone users now turning to their phone to look up something that they saw on a TV commercial. And so which screen is the main screen? And oftentimes the small screen is the main screen, and the large screen is maybe the secondary screen. Local searches are becoming far more important. We've seen a 2x increase in near-me search interest in the past year, and 82% of smartphone users use a search engine when looking for a local business. When we're looking for something to do, we turn to our mobiles, and 91% of smartphone users turn to their phone for ideas while they're doing a task. The number of how-to searches that we've seen has grown 3x over the last 3 years, and a lot of those are on YouTube. And then when we're looking to buy something, 82% of smartphone users are consulting their phones when they're in a store deciding what to buy. And I'll get into an example of that later on. But 29% increase in mobile conversion rates in the past year really shows the power of mobile in getting to your advertisers. So at Google, we love data, all right, which is why we have all of these numbers on the screen. But we also love to analyze people's behavior and how they use our products. So what we wanted to do is really get an understanding of how real people are using mobile and how they're doing it in their everyday lives. So we created a detailed ethnographic study, and we sought out a large group of people who we could check and evaluate when they're performing various mobile tasks. We armed them with recorders, cameras, so that they could record their specific moments. And I want to just take you through a couple of those stories. There's a lot of these, but I'll just go through two. So first of all is Gianna. She's a 25-year-old waitress. And Gianna ended up getting a cold sore on her mouth, wanted to get rid of that as soon as possible, is in the pharmacy, is looking at different options that are there, and she sees this tiny little tube of cold sore cream that's 4 times the price of these larger tubes. So pulls out her phone, does some research, searches for that tube, and finds out that the reviews on that product show that it is by far the best product that's out there and will get rid of that cold sore faster than anything else. So she buys it. And our research shows us that 1/3 of 18 to 34-year-olds will buy a more expensive product if that the searches they see in their search results prove that it is the best product for them. Here's Erica. So Erica and her husband are looking to expand their home as their family is expanding. And the first time that they bought a house was before they had kids, and they had lots of spare time. Those people who have kids will understand this. And they spent a lot of their time researching on a laptop and hours and going through the mortgage calculators, looking at all the different options. Whereas now, Erica doesn't have the same amount of time. So in an airport, waiting for a flight, she pulls out her mobile and she's researching mortgage calculator. So for some of the biggest decisions, we're seeing that people are using this in stolen moments. And some of the biggest things are being purchased in the smallest moments. And these are the areas where we really need to be active. Meet me. So do we have any rugby fans here? A couple of hands have gone up. So some of you may know that the Rugby World Cup kicked off last weekend. And 4 years waiting, all excited, going out to meet a few of my mates in the pub to watch the first match, Ireland's first match, Ireland versus Canada. And when I went to pull on my Irish jersey on the Saturday morning, I realized this is not going to work. And so it was the jersey I had was bought 8 years ago for the French World Cup. And rugby jerseys back then were a lot baggier than they are now. And this just didn't look good. So I thought, OK, crap, I can't wear this. Everyone's going to take the piss out of me. So I thought, what do I do? In a couple of hours to kick off, I want to wear a jersey in the pub. I want to wear my colors. So I pulled out my mobile, did a search for Irish jersey, looked at a lot of brands that I recognized, but what I wanted something immediate. So looked for, saw a result for a store nearby, clicked on that result, Lifestyle Sports Store. They've got a map that shows me all of their locations, could gauge how long it was going to take me to get there. There was a link to call them, so I could check to see if they had my size in stock and that they'd keep it for me. Go to the store, get my jersey, arrive at the pub, all smart in my perfectly fitting new Irish jersey, and thankfully Ireland won the match, so happy all around. But this story brings me on to the second truth, and that is that intent trumps loyalty, intent trumps identity, and immediacy trumps loyalty. And intent now is becoming the most important thing, and the context behind that as well. And it didn't matter that I was male in my 40s. What matters was my intent and the context. In Erica's example, it didn't matter if she was a female in her 30s. What matters was that she wanted to buy a house. So intent is what makes Google Google. We've always connected people to what they want. But now we're adding to that. So now, as well as the intent, we can add in signals, context signals, like someone's location. So now what we can do is we can connect you to people who are interested in looking for the services that you offer. And we can add in the signals like context to make the results more useful and relevant for them. And we can do this at scale. When we see this happening, we see 93% of people who use their phone to research, they will go on and make a purchase. Half of people who conduct a local search visit the store within the same day, and almost 20% of those searches lead to purchases within 24 hours. So when you give people what they want, when and where they want it, they buy stuff. So the message here is pretty simple. You want to be there, but you also want to be useful, as in the examples that I showed earlier. But being there, so there's nothing really new about that, is there? So we've always wanted to be there. We've always needed to be there so people could stumble across us. But maybe we have obsessed about a lot of different metrics in the meantime. We've obsessed about eyeballs. We've obsessed about maybe being first position. And maybe what we should be obsessing about is the share of intent. So share of intent is the percentage of searches where we match what our customers are looking for. The percentage of times that we meet their needs and their demands. And this is becoming more important. So where do we start for this? Well, you start by understanding the questions that your customers are asking. I'll give you another example. Happened to me a few weeks back. So got home from work in the evening, getting to my front door, and I could already hear my dog barking in the outside. So it's a 4-month-old Vizsla puppy. He's very excited. Got out into the back garden. He had ripped down all of the clothes from the clothesline, and he was using my favorite shirt as a bed, as a blanket, and covered in it. So I get out there, he's jumping up on top of me, and he's still barking, and I think, okay, I've got to bring him for a walk because nobody's going to get some sleep tonight. So go outside, lock the door, but the key is not coming out of the door. And this has never happened before. So I wiggle it, and I lock it and unlock it and pull it harder. It's not coming out. I don't understand why this is happening. And the first thing I think of is maybe I'll ask Google, why is my key stuck in the door? So Google came back with a couple of results. There was a video that was kind of interesting, but not really helpful. There was some wiki responses, some Yahoo Answers responses. So I thought, okay, maybe that was a little bit too existential. How do I remove a key from my door. Again, a few different results. At least this time, Google suggested some other relevant results that I could check. How do I remove a key that's stuck in the lock? And through all of this, I'm still not getting any help. So I go off and I try and find my own solution because I can't leave the key in the door. My wife is out with the kids. So unfortunately, my solution wasn't a really great one. And so my next search is how to remove a broken key from a lock. And unfortunately, again, still no great results. And what struck me through all of this, when I had to do my next search, which was find a locksmith, in all of those previous results, there were no ads appeared for any locksmiths. There was no results that came up, the location of locksmiths that were nearby. Until I did that search for a locksmith, no one was answering my question. And when I was preparing for this presentation yesterday morning, and I was looking at that during the day, and there was, I think, one result that came up for a locksmith. And then I tried it again at the same time in the evening yesterday at about 7 o'clock, and again, there was none. So when I needed that help, nobody was there. And this brings us to the third truth, and that is that we are all falling short. Consumers are looking for our products, but we're not always there when they need us. Now, maybe you might think that example is a bit obscure around locksmiths, but we've replicated this with car searches, with fashion searches. There was a great study done on beauty searches around curly hair. And again, it showed us that the top brands are only there in those moments that matter about 5 to 10% of the time. So this is something that we are really, really missing. And then we looked at that, okay, that's happening in search. Let's go to the second biggest search engine in the world, which is YouTube. And are we seeing different response there? And again, it was similar. We're not matching those questions. And we're not the only ones to be looking at this. And Mary Meeker, in her analysis, looked at the fact that the time that people spend on mobile is 3 times the amount of time that advertisers are spending there. So, clearly there's an issue here that we are not there, we're not present. But some brands are getting this right. And let's use, great European example of Fiat. And they'd been absent from the US market for about 30 years, and they wanted to get back in. And so they did a lot of study on people's behaviors and particularly people's queries. And what they saw was that as fuel prices were going up and the recession had hit, that more people were looking for smaller, fuel-efficient cars. So what they did was they bought up categories of small car, city car, and became really, really present there around the kind of searches and questions that people were asking about fuel efficiency, et cetera. And after that, in a survey that was done, 1/3 of small car owners said that they associated Fiat as top of the class for small car sales. And they ended up seeing a 127% brand uplift as well. This made Fiat hugely successful and really spread the number of Fiat 500s that were shown, that were being driven across the US and all over Europe. So they were there. The next piece is to remove some of that friction. So we talked about it earlier, we're much more spontaneous. We're less patient when we're buying things. So what do we do here? So another example is Sephora in Paris. They noticed that in their stores, and they started getting worried, they saw people with their products in their hand and their mobile phone in their other hand, and they thought, oh, this is not good. People are showrooming. What they're doing is they're looking at the product, they're trying to find it online so they can get a cheaper price and then go and buy it online. This is bad, but they talked to their customers, and they tried to understand that behavior. And what they found out was that the customers were not showrooming, but actually what they were trying to do was to figure out what was the last product that they had bought, what was the previous color that they had. And they were really interested in the previous search behavior, and they wanted to buy more in the store. So Sephora worked on that, and it had to be useful. What they did was they created an app. They allowed people to save their purchase history. They allowed people to share the products that they liked. They created this big community on a mobile device. And what they saw was that every $1 they invested in their search strategy ended up with $8 more being spent in on the cash register. So huge impact. Mobile behavior drives in-store sales. And this brings me to the final truth, which is not to overthink it. So sometimes we become obsessed with the fact that we need to be number one, we need to have the sexiest creative, we need to be really, really cool. But sometimes it's the smallest moments that are the moments that matter most to our customers. And these are the moments that it's really, really important for us to be there. If we are not present in the moments that matter to our consumers, when they are looking for us, when they need us most, you can bet that our competitors are going to be there. So I think we've highlighted that these micro moments are becoming more and more important. And with mobile, the immediacy and the relevancy has raised the bar for us all. And we're seeing that consumers now, their main screen is through a mobile device. So unless we're able to win those moments that matter, we're not going to be present for our consumers. But if we do win those moments and we are present, this opens up a whole new world to us, literally, where being useful, when people are searching for a service that we offer, regardless of where they are in the world, this is the single biggest competitive advantage that you can have against your competitors. And being there in those micro moments will help you to win new customers all over the world, no matter how small you are. And by leveraging the global power of mobile, this is going to help to make all of you into the micro-multinationals of the future. Thank you very much.